So a bunch of the Magic formats are kind of broken right now, and we're all just sitting here like looking at our calendars, waiting for August 26th to roll around. So until then, let's see how Pauper is. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for a rare Pauper video. And today, David has asked me to play with a Madness Burn deck list. And if you look at the list, you are going to think this is a Grixis list, and you are going to be wrong. So let's start here with this standout, air quotes, blue card. Sneaky Snacker. This is one that I haven't seen in play in Legacy at all. It is a 2/1 flyer for 2 mana with an asterisk by it. When you draw your third card in a turn, return Sneaky Snacker from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Now, Legacy players will know that these like Bloodghast, Prized Amalgam, Gravecrawler type cards that can come back from the graveyard are often much stronger than they look. And I want to remind you, and this is stating a very, very obvious thing, you draw 1 card on your turn every turn, right? So this basically says if you can play something that lets you draw 2 cards, you get to return this to the battlefield tapped for free. And luckily, Pauper has a very, 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 very large assortment of cards that say draw 2 cards on them. We are going to have Faithless Looting. We are going to have Demand Answers, which is going to have a sacrifice an artifact or discard a card to draw 2 cards. And then Highway Robbery. You can discard a card or sacrifice a land. If you do, draw 2 cards. You can do something like Highway Robbery, discard your Sneaky Snacker, draw your 2 cards, and bam, you get to return this instantly. Our goal is to send a large amount of damage directly at our opponent's face. We will also be using the combat step to some extent. But most of the cards in this deck list are just going to face. Like, we have one thing, we know what we are doing here. We even have some deserts that are land-based value that deal direct damage to our opponent, which, while that might not be making the cut in most other constructed formats, when, good Pauper fixing looks like this in many cases, this is still looking pretty darn good. I know nothing about the current Pauper metagame, just literal zero, so we're kind of going in blind. We'll see how this goes. I haven't read up on Pauper since the new cranial plating style card got pre-banned in Pauper. Like, we knew what was coming there. And, should you need to order an entire Pauper deck for less than the cost of maybe a average Legacy staple, consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Tales of Adventure always has free online shipping, and if you're going to a major event, think your Gen Cons, Magic Cons, all that sort of stuff, you can also order online and pick up on site, and let me tell you, that is very convenient, and you don't have to kind of deal with hunting down singles and waste your time when you could be jamming games with friends or getting into events. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order to boot. That being said, let's go play some commons. Okay, this opening hand has no lands. I'll mulligan that, and this one apparently. Just while I am thinking about it, what is my land count here? 19. Understood. I mean, I'm keeping at this point, but I have 0 reps to help me plot my mulligan decisions here. If I keep these, I have 10 points of burn in hand. That's halfway there. But this is giving up the core thing that this deck wants to do. I think that's where I am at on this mulligan. I think it is just incredibly awkward. I don't think we want to be mulliganing much at all. Yeah. Lightning Bolt, your face. Don't have my second color here, which is a little embarrassing. Don't have Metalcraft for Galvanic Blast. Blood tokens would be cool. Helping to make a fiery temper more castable. Okay. So my opponent is probably going to start suiting this up with a bunch of enchantments. Yeah. Do I beat that ever? No edicts. Fuck. Well, that's pretty terrible. I'm not going to Galvanic Blast. I will pass the turn, and as soon as this thing gets bigger, I think I'm effectively just dead immediately. Like, this is just hexproof. Yeah. Alright, so fun rules interaction here. So, this says whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. And this also says when enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. Notice how these aren't lifelink. So these are independent things that both trigger. We are not beating gain 6 life per turn on our burn deck on a mulligan that deep. And more generally, I just don't think we are going to beat this deck. I have Breath Weapon that can kill these things. I could Duress to try to take the lifelink things out of my opponent's hand. These are the things that I can consider playing. And having played 0 actual games with this, I have no idea what is the least important thing in this deck list, like where I choose to start cutting things. Since I don't understand my core engine yet, I'm not going to board in Duress. Just going to shave a less reliable spell and try to hit the creatures with Dragon Breath. Yeah, this is fine. So I can just plot this on turn 2, and then try to do some cool stuff on turn 3. So start with 1 direct damage to my opponent. What is this? Search for a basic plain, swamp, or forest, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Okay, sure. I don't mind drawing another one of those. Let's just plot this guy. So I will cast that for free next turn. I will probably discard this. Protection from red flyer. You got it. Cast this for free. I will discard the alms. I will cast. Target you. Pay the black. I think I will go ahead and deal damage to my opponent. I'll hold up Lightning Bolt with the intention of Lightning Bolting my opponent. Yes. That's fine. That's less fine. Taking 4 damage this turn and then at least 5 next turn. Hopefully I outpace this. I am currently ahead on life. Ooh. Let's go bam. Cast with discard a card. Discard the Sneaky Snacker. I draw my cards immediately, which lets me return this. Now I have 2 3-drops in hand, so I can't do anything. My opponent has a bunch of mana. Rancor is bad. Trample means that just blocking for free and forever is not good. Yikes. What am I taking? 11? Cool. So no life gain got involved and I'm just dead on board. Even if I gain 3 life, it's not enough. Can't cast both of these, even if I could. That's only 8. Yeah, we just got absolutely rolled with minimal interaction.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out.
So I have a reasonable mix of lands and spells. Does this actually have a plan? I guess I use the blood tokens to discard Kitchen Imp. Feels like enough of a plan. Let's just do our tapped dual land and pass. And we are under the metaphorical gun here. I could just remove this and not take any damage from this. Ever. I think I am into that. Again, I have very little current format experience. I don't know if it is just wrong to send removal at creatures. So my opponent has mana up, so I like the idea of not using my mana this turn, just playing an instant, and then doing stuff at their end step, even if that means that I maybe miss 2 points of damage here by not trying this on my turn. That is fine. I could try to use this window right here to play around like actual factual counterspell. Florian Revealed and Deem Inferior. What is this? Cost 1 less for each card you draw on this turn. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it into their library second from the top or on the bottom. Sure. Do I want to resolve both of my spells around spell pierces and such? I think so. Let's demand some answers. Discard the kitchen imps. And madness them in while drawing 2 cards. Fantastic. More cantrips. Another island. Thought scouring. The Murktide Regent of this format is now what we need to be afraid of. This also has Ward 2, meaning that it's going to be a massive pain in the butt to actually get rid of. Let's just cast this. I will discard the Fiery Temper. Madness happens. I will cast that. Send it at your dome. I draw some cards. I'll play a Carnarium. Bounce this to my hand. You don't have anything that stops this attack. Not super close to Metalcraft. I can get it if this gets involved. So Brainstorm Deem Inferior is the thing. So just play Brainstorm and then 1 mana just boop anything out of play. That's cute. Second from the top or on bottom. I'm gonna say bottom. Fuck. Fuck. That's so much pressure. I get attacked for 10 to 13 points of damage next turn. I guess this is fine. Or wait, I want to use black here. We'll go black. Now I can 8 my opponent to the dome. I need a little more damage. I'm just going to believe in the deck to produce that damage off the blood tokens next turn. And let's just resolve these now while I guaranteed have the Metalcraft. Alright, you're at 4. Oh, I could just jump block one of these. That's cool. I'm so used to Murktide Regent drama that I just assumed that giant things like this have evasion, because why wouldn't they? Lorien Revealed. Sure. Yeah, I will keep my life total slightly higher. I need to find a single point of damage. Let's Highway Robbery. I will do this sacrificing a land. Get rid of this swamp. Those aren't points of damage. Use the black. Discard the Sneaky Snacker. Okay, there we go. So unless there is some sort of free counterspell here, we're good. Didn't expect to win that one, but we absolutely did the thing here. Do we have like Pyroblasts? Yeah, Pyroblasts sound great. Does Tolarian Terror just count in graveyard, or is it one of those graveyard plus exile spells? In other words, how good is this? It is in graveyard, so I could Spellbomb. Sneaky Snacker return it's tapped, meaning it's not the best blocker. It came in untapped. I feel like it would be kind of insane here. I'm gonna try getting rid of those for 2 Pyroblasts. I'm thinking about getting rid of the other 2 for Spellbomb. I'm going to do that. And then someone in the comments is going to tell me that Sneaky Snacker is the best card in this matchup. I don't feel like I do anything before turn 3. I'm going to try to keep it, though. We've got to ponder. That's a removal spell if my opponent plays something like a Delver, which is perfectly fine. I don't really need to play this turn. Sure. Yeah, and pass. The cantrips are fine. No follow-up shuffle or anything. That's going to be slightly less common in this format than in Legacy. Sure. Alright, Spell Pierce. That was something that I already expected. Brainstorm is fine. Yep. So I am going to be inefficient with Galvanic Blast's damage here. I am just kind of immediately under the gun by this 5/5. And I think I'm just going to try to resolve as much stuff as I can while my opponent does not have mana available. So let's go bam. Demand some answers. Discarding the alms. And do our black lightning helix. Drawing 2. This is fine. I actually don't want this other swamp. I wish I had another mountain, but fuck. Repeatable, you gain 2 life. Fuck. That's bad. The other part of this does nothing. Yep. Ward, how much? Ward 2? I think since I didn't board in Artifact Destruction, I'm just going to lose to this Campfire. Like, I can Pyroblast, remove one of these, but it feels like this just beats me. Alright. Attempt to destroy one of these. A Spell Pierce gets me here. Pay for ward. Alright, we took one out. But my opponent has on board 7-point life swings per turn cycle as of right now. Not good. Especially when I assume that there is some amount of counter magic happening. I can do stuff at instant speed. I think I want to do at least this one immediately, though. So go to your dome with that. Redraw. Okay, then I do this. Attempt to loot. Card 1 and 2. Attempt cast. We get a counterspell there. Now I do have flashback Faithless Looting, but this Campfire is just going to fucking destroy me. I can chomp on the 5/5, but just repeatable 1 mana gain 2 life. This is real rough for a Pauper burn deck. Good tech. Alright. I think I'm just gonna start by flashing back Faithless Looting. Discard 1 and 2, I think. And give our opponent a little kissy kiss. We get counterspelled, sure. And my opponent just gains their life. This is rough. My opponent probably gets to just tempo me out here. I'm at 8. I have a chump blocker lined up. This is fine. We'll cast this with the additional cost of sacrifice an artifact. Maybe? Moto? Sacrificing the Vault of Whispers that I just played. Please. No. So we'll play an Epicure. And hopefully we draw a Madness spell and get some decent value off of this. Note that discarding a card is part of the cost, so these don't just like magically turn into clues if you're hellbent. Sure. I am unhappy with the second threat here, because now the board's not empty if I luck into a Pyroblast. Okay, there's a Madness card. So, discard Fiery Temper. I think I have to obliterate the Delver here, rather than do anything else. Well, attempt to Lightning Helix. Opponent gains their life. 11 gives me another turn of clock versus just this creature. But my opponent's effective life total is probably something like 22 right now. It's just bad. Pyroblast. Oh. Don't have Metalcraft for that even. Yeah. At this point, any sort of anything beats me, and my opponent has 3 cards in hand, so they assuredly have something. This is a lose life, so it's not like I can double up on this, and Ward would stop that anyway. We get another game. Now I know about Campfire. If I want to try to do that, to beat that, I play Cast into the Fire. It's just a dead card. I guess this one can attack and block. That's probably better. Again, I have no real conception of the engine yet. I'm not sure what my weakest portions are. This is terrible. I think I am keeping this and trying to believe in the madness creatures as this game goes long. I have the ability to mess with my opponent's graveyard while cantripping. My opponent's deck is removal light. That's not bad. That gives me a way to get an imp into play next turn. Yeah, so I will probably just blow this spell bomb at the end of my opponent's turn here. I can do it now. This is Pauper. Alright. So we set them back from putting a Tolarian Terror into play. This is very good. I am just going to use a blood token this turn, though, and guaranteed put this in. Yeah. Draw my card. Land would be awesome. Negative. I'll attack for 3. I would love to draw another land and then be able to Faithless Looting and double Madness spell. Delver blind flips to Hydroblast. I'm going to put this on the bottom. I just want to draw more mana right now. Ooh, opponent holds back that Delver. Well, that's a land. It's not doing quite what I want, but it's a land. I'm going to try this right now. I'm going to discard the Kitchen Imp to get that attacking this turn. Next turn I have 3 mana, which is Bam plus Bam. Or Vampire Kiss plus Pyroblast, maybe. Yeah. Cast. Send in for 2. I will make this trade. Ooh, my opponent accepts the trade. That's fine. I have Pyroblast for my opponent's next threat. And they are chilling. Attempt attack for 1. I think I like plotting this. I think I like plotting this. Just like not give my opponent that counterspell mana usage in this turn cycle. 5th land drop. Opponent passes. Sure. Let's cast this. Opponent will Hydroblast. Now I decide if I want to Pyroblast back. I think I am fine with that. Yeah. Cool. Is this resolving though? Lose focus. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2 with Replicate. Sure. So stack clears. I'll attack for 1. Then we are hoping to resolve Vampire Kiss to set up some blood tokens. It's a pretty big swing if these effectively get to be cantripping lightning helixes. There's a draw 3. So this is my big turn cycle. This is where I hopefully get to do something kind of broken. So let's discard the alms. Cast. Target you. Bam. Then draw my card. Not having more untapped mana is a little rough here. I'll live. Yeah. I'm going to attack for 1 while I think about it. Yeah. My opponent's at 8. Some decent portion of the time I just loot away Gorilla Shaman. I do have a Faithless Looting in my graveyard, so I think I like this. There's an argument for just resolving Gorilla Shaman now around all possible counter magic. And my opponent gets to look for whatever it is they're looking for. They apparently know that was an incredibly fast ponder. It is Campfire, sure. So let's attack for 1. Yeah. Opponent is at 4. They have 6 cards in hand, 3 mana available. It costs me 4 mana to play and activate Gorilla Shaman in the same turn cycle. I think I just want to squeeze Gorilla Shaman. Well, I could lead on Faithless Looting, actually. Yeah, let's lead on Faithless Looting. That's kind of cool. So we'll go Bam and Bam. Madness. Cast. This is attempting to put my opponent at 1 life. I imagine they will respond with Campfire. Ooh. So now we are just trying to go wide of my opponent. I'm going to put 3 different lethal threats into play and make my opponent answer all of them. And since I am at 28 life, I don't have to win immediately. That Gorilla Shaman is in play. What about this Gorilla Shaman? That one gets countered. Now, my opponent between 2 Campfire activations is effectively at 5 life. I have 2 damage showing, meaning that any bolt effect is lethal. My opponent has 6 cards in hand. I can Gorilla Shaman away the Campfire and just not deal with future activations. There's Thought Scour. There's Brainstorm. Opponent now has 3 mana again. Hydroblast to keep the Campfire. You've got it. Tolarian Terror stabilizes the ground. This is not the best. I don't have matchup and deck experience to know the heuristics of like how likely am I to hit blind faithless looting for a madness card. Back of the napkin math. So these, these. I'll call hitting this a success. You don't have madness. So it's 16 with 2 draws. I guess I would have 3 chances to do it again. Okay. Well, let's do this then. Whiff. Yaw. And yaw. I don't think I flash one back now. I think I passed the turn. We might have missed our window on this game. Like, I can come back, but my opponent answered double Gorilla Shaman to beat Campfire while also producing a 5/5 body to stop my Epicure attacks. That means combat damage is off. This card is pretty absurd. Like, it's slow, but pretty nutty. So now I have the same decision again. I am going to try to hit. I get Hydroblasted, which gives my opponent more bodies. These also fly, so the Sneaky Snacker is not great anymore. I think I'm dead. My turn has to just be so insane, just so incredibly insane to beat this board. Yeah. Alright, so Blood Token, discard Imp, Madness Imp. This is just gain 5 life on a black card. Don't know that that counterspell makes sense. I can try to do something with that next turn. I mean, I say that the counterspell doesn't make sense, but like, it doesn't really matter when you have 10 power in play, plus 2 life per turn, plus gain 1 or more blockers every turn. 17. Now we will flash back a Faithless Looting. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. This isn't getting in for damage. I guess Alms. And the Imp's not doing a lot here. So, Lightning Helix, nothing on this guy. I think it's very, very, very hard to deal 10 in a turn here. Another Murmuring Mystic, sure. So I am dead to the Terrors next turn. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What if I gain 4? 13? That doesn't work. Yeah, we are dead. Campfire beat us. GG's. I do not have starting red mana. I think I'm still gonna try to keep this one. Like, Vampire Kiss, double Kitchen Imp, like, seems like a very good turn 2, turn 3 sequence. Is it perfect? No. Is it good enough? I hope so. No wins on board yet. Surveil to exile from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 on a Deuter. Okay. So are we playing fair or unfair? Like, what sort of gross, nasty graveyard stuff am I about to see? Ah, yes. They're indeed gross, nasty graveyard things. Vampire, kissy, kissy. I'm attacking for 4 in the air next turn. That sounds powerful. We'll see if it's good enough. 4 cards entered the reveal zone. My opponent gets a forest. Circle of the Land Druid. Mill 4. Sure. Exhume. Lotless Giant. Does this lose life? No, deals 1 damage. Sure. Okay. I guess I'm not double kitchen imping, right? I need to spend mana on that. I'd like to draw red mana. I kind of need to Fiery Temper a body. That's not necessarily happening. I guess we're still doing this. Untapped red land off a single draw is a little bit of an ask. Alright, you're in play. Okay, there's my red source. I think I'm just going to discard this Sneaky Snacker right now. This seems slow right now. Attack for 2. I think my opponent is just going to put a 6 power creature into play next turn. You have any evasion? You don't have any evasion. I can chump block that. I don't know if Gnaw to the Bone is in the main deck or the sideboard of this deck. It's something like gain 2 or 3 life for each creature card in your graveyard. Feels like that card is just game ending. If my opponent has that. Sure, this is a discard draw. Alright, so now they're... Oh, that was a Stinkweed Imp plus Dredge. Ooh, a Surveil land? Okay. This deck has improved a bit since the last time I played it. Now my opponent gets to attack me for 2, and then sacrifice these little... Not sacrifice those little bodies to Dread Return. Okay. I thought like we were just going to go there immediately. That would have been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 initial damage. That seems like a lot. I think I would like to cast... Yeah. Discard Kitchen Imp. I have drawn my 3rd card. I get Sneaky Snacker back. Put this creature into play. I think I'm just turning them sideways. Take a little bit more damage by turning those creatures sideways, but I believe that I will just kill my opponent next turn. Oh, I'm going to eat double Lotleth Giant. Oh no, there's a generous Ent. Gain some life. Sure. Take 4. My opponent is not Dread Returning. This card works like I think it does, right? Sacrifice 3 creatures, return target card. Yeah. So I attack for 4, put my opponent to 11. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 1 or more Lotleth Giant triggers are kind of what I have to think about here. I just not attack, I can hold back and just try to send a bunch of damage at my opponent's dome. I just send 6 at my opponent's face with demand answers here. Yes. Cast with discard a card. Yeah. Discard. Cast on you. It's awkward that I played that land beforehand. The next turn I blood token, deal 3, deal another 3. 6 damage is easy next turn, more if I get something that discards. I have this, that's 6 damage easy, but not lethal easy, so I think I'm just holding back. We got a dredge. Damn it. This is just going to beat me. My opponent can gain 20 life at will. What is this? Mill 3, get a land or a +1/+1 counter? Sure. Yeah, I don't really know what I am supposed to do to win this matchup. Like, there are going to be 4 Gnaw to the Bones in that deck. As soon as my opponent decides to Dread Return Lotleth Troll, I start dying. I'm just going to give up. I don't think it is worth playing out from here. Like, my opponent has Dredge 5. They get 5 looks at extra copies of Dread Return and Gnaw to the Bone and all that every turn. Well, not every turn, but effectively. And I have 2 Spell Bombs to help. Fuck. Am I supposed to do these to keep my opponents, like, from having creatures to Dread Return? I guess. Board out some number of burn. And yeah, I guess I want the, like, repeatable flying damage here. Maybe board out 2 looting? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I could also Breath Weapon, I guess, to control small creatures. Well, I have one of my 2 Spell Bombs, so I'm going to keep my hand. My opponent has kept 6. We'll use their land to deal 1 damage to our opponent. And call it a turn. So, what am I doing with my turn? I think just playing Vampire Kiss. We're going to make those blood tokens. They will eventually become good. Like, I will draw Madness cards. What is this? Forest Cycling? Sure. There's a Wooded Ridge line. Okay. Sure. Great. I love that play pattern. That sucks. That's just a legacy play pattern. I get punished for not playing Spellbomb onto a literally empty board. That does not feel good. No Madness cards in hand. Cool. I think I am going to demand answers, sacking a blood token. Alright. I'm 11 cards deep. I have not seen a Madness card. That seems unlikely. There's the tapped land that we know about. I am going to just protect my life total here. And I still have no Madness card. We're going to try the same thing again. Just get deeper. I am relatively deep into my deck. I still don't have anything. I am going to try to make my opponent put some cards in the graveyard before I play out the Spell Bomb. Like, I would like to clear out that graveyard in a fair capacity. But we could run into the same thing again where my opponent just cycles and immediately exhumes. Alright, they're just gonna gain the life, that's fine. Game's not going well for me. Like, it is turn 4, I am behind on board, and my opponent is still at basically their starting life total. Womp. Stinkweed Imp, sure. Alright. Cast, discard a card, discard the Fiery Temper. That's going at my opponent's face. We are not killing Stinkweed Imp and letting my opponent just dredge. Donde está Madness cards? I did hit Fiery Temper, so like I did hit one. So much for the graveyard mattering, so much for the bevy of small creatures we saw in game 1. Cards not lining up well here. Well, I mean, yes. I will trade these. I don't get my card out of this. And Dread Return remains in graveyard for my opponent to flashback. Fuck! This is frustrating. Oh my god. Guard Mountain. I should have discarded Swamp. Good god. Plot, I guess? No. Yes? I don't know. Discard. Alright, there is a Madness card. I play this as a land. I can just do this immediately. Discard Alms. Send 3 at my opponent. Now I have a reasonable mix of effects in my hand. I'm taking 6 damage per turn. My opponent has a Dread Return in graveyard. A bunch of cards in hand that they're not casting, which I assume that I am going to be sad about at some stage of this game. And it is just a question of when. So 1 direct damage plus blood token. Discard an Alms. Send 3 at you. That's 7. 6. Pass turn. I'll lightning bolt my opponent at some point. Sure. You've got a forest. This can come with a food. Yeah. You got it. These Ents are also just going to be hard castable at this stage. Yeah, sure. Gain your life. Block. I go to 13. I'll lightning bolt your face. I need something to loot through these. That doesn't do it. This is not castable. None of these cards have any text right now. I take 11. If I hit like a Faithless Looting, I'm good. But it's very possible that my opponent just has... Well, I guess they don't have anything in their graveyard for Gnaw to the Bone. On a hardcast a Lotless Giant? Another Generous Ent. Sure. Alright. Okay. Target you. 1 and 2. Make 2 blood tokens. Discard a no. Sorry. Blood token. Pay 1. Discard Sneaky Snacker. Draw a card. Activate this again. Discard Sneaky Snacker. Draw a card. Those come back. They come back tapped. I am 1 point of damage short of killing my opponent. Tilt. Dead. GG's. Alright, I have no ability to draw any cards, no ability to discard this. I think I mulligan that hand. This second one is fine. Hopefully we can string together cards with the word madness on them. I'll get rid of 1 epic here. Alright, we have a forest into wild growth from our opponent here. Without a madness card in hand immediately, I think I'm just going to get my tapped land out of the way now. Another forest, another wild growth. What are we ramping into? I don't know this card. Reveal top 4, put a permanent from among them into your hand, rest into graveyard, make a friend. What the fuck is that? Oh, yeah, I know that one. That's a good card in limited. Is this just like an Eldrazi ramp deck? I have 1 plot. I have 1 madness card here for plot purposes. I could also just put these into play. Make blood tokens. This increases my Metalcraft count in case I draw a Galvanic Blast, and I might need a Galvanic Blast to answer some sort of medium-sized body. Unsure. It's another rumble. Oh, I see. So it's going to be like cyclers and like cascade stuff as the top end. Sure. Well, pokey pokey. Cool. Looks like we're going to get some mana dorks with blocks. Ooh. One is cycling because they don't have any red mana yet. You got it. So let's do this. Discard alms. Cast alms. Draw a card. Play mountain. I guess I don't have to bolt your face right now, but I'm going to do it. I don't think I get to, like, use removal spells on things that look like this. I just don't think that gets to happen. Sure. So my opponent's at 14. I've got some work to do. This one tramples. Bolt your face. You're at 11. Don't have madness cards right now. Have a bunch of blood tokens. Yu-Gi-Oh? I think Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh has failed. Discard 1. Discard 2? Discard 2? I kind of need a bunch of mana if I'm going to run through my deck in the way that I intend on doing here. So we'll give our opponent a kiss. Play the Carnarium. Bounce a mountain. And now we're mostly just hoping that the top of my deck is kind. Like if we string together a couple of madness cards in a row, my opponent just dies. That would be really cool. Absolutely chump blocking because I think my opponent is going to end up playing one or more creatures that just end up invalidating attacks from 1/1s anyway. And my opponent's at 9. That's 3 things that deal 3 damage. And I don't think that is going to change. All right. So that ramps my opponent by 2. And just in case you haven't played against this one, whenever you sacrifice another Eldrazi, it gets a +1/+1 counter, which is kind of fucked up. Oh my god. Now that math has changed. 6, 11, 14. Very close to dead. I'll try this. It's possible that I should discard 1, discard 2, send that at face. Let's get a card deeper here. And we're just trying to convert this mountain into something that deals 3 damage. We have failed. So assuming I block Generous Ent, I am not taking lethal yet. I am taking 14 on the surface. What is that? What just happened? Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Fuck. What's the other mode on this? Look top 5 cards, reveal creatures, put them into your hand. That's this deck's Crater Hoof. Do you trample? You don't trample? Yo, you both have 7 power, so it doesn't matter. I imagine that I am dead, right? Yeah. Would have lethal. We're 1 turn too slow here. I can do some things to kill Eldrazi spawns and Arbor Elves, I guess. I think I do 2 mana ones rather than 3 mana ones. I'm unsure if I am a believer in Sneaky Snacker. It's not castable, it enters tapped, which is bad for jump blocking reasons. It feels like this game is going to be very fast. I'm not sure that this matters. I'm going to do this and hope to slow my opponent down, keep them from getting to like those 4 and 7 mana breakpoints. Sure. I have 2 artifact lands. Galvanic Relay is likely to be good. Basic Forest. Not a mana dork, which is unfortunate for me. So, bam. Bam. Discard you. When it didn't have the turn 1 mana dork, discard you. Madness you. Hit in for 2. Then next turn I can Highway Robbery, discarding Fiery Temper if my opponent plays a mana dork. Otherwise, that just goes at face. Cycling. And then the Rumble. And my opponent does take the Arbor Elf. It untaps Wild Growth. Sure. So land drop. Cast this. Discard Imp. Madness Imp. Yeah. Swing in for 4. We have 9 points of theoretical burn in hand. +4 on board. We'll just kind of see how crazy my opponent's stuff gets. That is a Chrysalis. And we're just going now. 3 mana. Eldrazi Repurposer. Yep. That's definitely messed up. Nobody over here secretly has reach. And in for 4. What? Oh, I'm sorry. It is in the middle of all of those keywords. Whatever. I'm making the attack anyway. This can have 6 toughness, so that's a thing. I can Faithless Looting, discard 1 Fiery Temper this turn. That seems fine. Yeah. Discard 1 Fiery Temper and a Looting. 3 to face. Already made my land drop. I'll pass the turn. 4th land drop. 5 mana plus spawn for 6. Oh, yeah. That is a lot of damage when you play those in multiples. Holy shit. Wow, wow, wow. I've played against this thing in limited. But you usually only are allowed to have one of those. So let's Epicure, Blood Token, discard Fiery Temper, send at face. Need to draw a little more direct damage here. 1, 2, 3. That's real good. So, yeah. Just bounce a mountain. I have lethal damage here, assuming that I don't die. There's another land drop. It's a Cascade card. Cascading into Writhing Chrysalis Food. Oh no. Yes. And my opponent has more spawns, so it's not like I'm actually taking these out with a Galvanic Blast. Sure. Strunk. The spawn attacking too. The word trample is not on these cards. Even hidden in the middle of a lot of other words. Yeah. Alright. Opponent has no cards in hand, so 1 and 0. Okay. How much damage does Dragon Breath do? Is it 3? No, it is 2. Yeah, let's run it back like this. I feel like I'm just playing a less powerful deck than my opponent's. My hand has 10 points of burn in theory, but does not have any madness synergies. Let's try to keep and believe. Like, I am finding that this deck wants an absolute shit ton of mana to, like, go through the blood tokens and such, so maybe I just try to believe. Sure. My opponent not playing Dryad Arbor on 1 is a little rough. Okay, that's actively good. Let's start working on our Metalcraft count. Second land drop. Yikes. Now my opponent has access to their colors. And they've got an Eldrazi Repurposer coming. So, yeah. Cast. Discard. Probably discard one of these. These cast into the fires are just not lining up against the hypothetical Arbor Elves that I am trying to kill. It is most unfortunate. And as soon as this thing comes out, removing those doesn't work anymore because they just get converted into counters. Frustrating. I think we are trying to salvage our hand. I think I have to give up a turn worth of tempo. That was garbage. To select for some better cards is what I wanted to say. So now we're just hardcasting Fiery Tempers. So much for believing in the deck. My opponent is just going to run me over with this fucking Writhing Chrysalis. This is the Glaring Flesh Raker at Pauper power level. This thing is insane for a common, by the way. Devoid, Reach, make 2 friends, get bigger on its own, auto-scaling. Like, that's so much. God damn it. I'm upset. Oh, I also can't... Fuck, I don't have triple red. Fuck. Alright. Pass turn. Opponent has 8 or 9 damage showing. I just die. I just fucking die. Yes. Ah, Arbor Elf is here. Right, right on time. Uh, you know what? Fuck you. Absolutely fuck you, Arbor Elf. Get the fuck out. We don't want you here. I am hoping that my top card is a Faithless Looting. I get to Faithless Looting, discard 2 Fiery Tempers, and pull some bullshit off. We dead. We have encountered active life gain 4 rounds in a row. I'll play out the last one. We have a no lander. I'm gonna mulligan this one. I guess I keep this one. Really awkward that my red land ETB is tapped. That probably means that the Epicure is the worst card in my hand. So I'm going to get to cheat a Sneaky Snacker into play. Okay, sure. Damage 1? No, let's do Metalcraft 1. But if we're just playing against the same thing as last time, we saw that that deck just eats me alive. They are just so consistent. And my deck is not consistent. So I could play Vault of Whispers, blue, cast, into Highway Robbery, discard the Sneaky Snacker. I will get to bring it back immediately. Pass turn. I have no Madness cards in my hand. Rumble again. My opponent gets a land, sure. I take 3. Opponent does not have red mana yet. I need another artifact. This gives me an artifact. And Galv Blasts become live. I want more mana next turn. We'll take that 1 damage. Bash in for 2. Opponent's at 15. I have 8 points of burn showing, plus the ability to do some gross things with Faithless Looting and Blood Token. If I draw some Madness cards. 5 mana for the initiative. That's a little bit of a risky thing to do in the face of a flyer. Like, if I get a single trap, seems very difficult for my opponent to win the game. So, yeah, I think I'm just sending in 13. Grab a land. Play a land. Give my opponent a kiss. Pass the turn. I'll be sending 8 at my opponent's face. And then we'll just loot through a whole bunch of cards to finish off the game. 6 mana for Boarding Party. Yes. Getting a Utopia Sprawl. 6, 11, 14. Not lethal. Yeah, I'm just going to take all of that. I'm not going to send a removal spell at anything. I have a billion draws to find 1 point of damage, so I think we're good. Galv Blast. Galv Blast. Opponent's at 3, which is effectively 1. Galv Blast. Alright, that was fun. Sideboard nothing. These sucked. Sideboard nothing. Looks like I have a reasonable mix of lands and spells. I'm not the biggest fan of multiple tap lands. Feels like my opponent's deck runs me over a decent amount of time with a start that looks like this, but IDK. Arbor Elf. Let's just do the damage one this time. I would love an untapped land. That's very good here. That really helps to redeem a mulligan. Holy fuck. I need an untapped land so fucking badly, and I miss it. Lightning Bolt plus untapped red land in 2 cards. Let's go. Yeah. Negative. I'm gonna get rid of this Rakdos Carnarium. I don't think I need the Epicure. Tapped land out of the way. Not being able to remove this Dryad Arbor is game losing here. Like, this is initiative creature, boarding party, chrysalis, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It beats me, I think. Sure. It was 1 card too late. So I just need to contest the initiative by playing Kitchen Imp this turn, I guess. And we go from there. Discard Imp. Cast Imp. Draw 2. Already made my land drop. Punch for 2. The issue here is that, like, I contest the initiative, but My opponent then gets to keep Dryad Arbor. I'll pick up another land. Yeah, I think I lost this one for having 2 untapped lands. Or sorry, 2 tapped lands and not mulliganing. 7 mana. Gorilla Shaman? Okay, I guess it kills blood tokens. And artifact lands, I guess. Yuck. Oh my god. Dead? I don't beat that. So my opponent can now, like, blow up my artifact land while growing Writhing Chrysalis. I take 5. My opponent gets the initiative back. They forge up some creature. They can forge up this reach thing, so it's outside of Galvanic Blast range. Okay, they're not doing that. There's Galvanic Blast. I have 1 artifact. I can play a second. I don't win from here. I am fine conceding. That was disgusting. Cast into the Fire was absolute garbage when I drew it every time in the previous game. I'm not going to let the Dryad Arbor trauma here change my mind about that. I don't like this deck. I think I can articulate why, but I'm gonna save it for the end. So let's do this. Into this. Discard 1 and 2. Madness. There's an Ent. Into De-Glamour. Sure. Thanks, I hate it. Alright. So that's just a 2 mana land destruction spell in Pauper. I kinda dig it, honestly. Sure. Rumble. I imagine gets my opponent that Repurposer. It does. There's an Arbor Elf. So am I killing that on site or not? I think I'm killing it on site because my turn is just cast Alms if my opponent doesn't, if like I don't draw something reasonable, which I did not. Alright. You could make an argument that I should not play the artifact land because my opponent has shown me Gorilla Shaman. But like I'm still a Galvanic Blast deck at the end of the day, so that's kind of where I'm at. There's the Repurposer. Yeah, fuck me. Tapped artifact land past turn. A new Rumble. Getting another Repurposer, it looks like. Yep. My opponent can cast that immediately if they want to get rid of their spawns. What was that? Cast into the Fire, exiling my bridge. I'm done. I don't want to play with you anymore. I'm out. GG's. Alright, so conclusion time. First off, if I spent an hour or 2 goldfishing this deck, my lines would probably polish up a lot and I would get a better feel of like in which order do I play which things. But I don't know that I am the biggest fan of this deck at a conceptual level. And part of the reason for that is I think Magic is moving more and more towards singularly powerful cards taking over games rather than engines being good. And I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze on this. It feels like it is just so easy to draw these cards in combinations that are not quite right. You're trying to be an aggro deck, but you are playing, what, 4, 8, 9 tapped lands? Well, like aggro burn, right? Like when I think about things in this format and what they are capable of, wanting to register this doesn't come to the top of my mind, right? Like, one of my opponents played a 1 mana, 5/5, ward 2 blue card. Writhing Chrysalis was amazing on the other side of the battlefield. My opponent had singular, like, 5 or 6 mana cards that were effectively game winning or very close to it. And I am trying to resolve roughly 7 direct damage spells to kill my opponent rather than just resolve one thing that kills my opponent over 2 to 3 turns. It feels like I am working too hard in playing this deck. And I think too many of the cards in this deck are just kind of clunkers on their own. Like, when you have to cast these cards at face value, they are very bad rate for the format. And I very frequently didn't have enough mana to do, basic things like, oh, cast a Faithless Looting, Madness 2 cards. and so I didn't feel like I was optimizing my cards very well. Like I don't really feel like I have that great of turn 1 plays because you can't really play looting on 1. Like you just miss out on most of this value. I feel like you don't want to play Galv Blast on 1, especially if it's intending on going to face. So that means Epicure and Lightning Bolt are your only turn 1 plays for the most part, despite the fact that you do have so many 1-drops in deck. I think that's where my head's at. I didn't feel like my sideboard cards were very good in comparison to my opponent's sideboard cards. Like, my opponents are playing green, life gain, storm cards, and I have a Cast into the Fire that never lines up with an Arbor Elf. Those are my thoughts. So I give this deck a thumbs down. I think it is some okay portion of the format, like 4 or 5% or something like that. Yeah, we're looking at 5% of the format trending downwards, whereas like the decks that we played against, that blue aggro deck is 10%, the red-green Eldrazi deck is 10%, both trending upwards, and mono-red is 14%. The Sadistic Glee combo deck is about 11% of the format. Dimir Control, I imagine that's a blue-black version of the Terror deck, is about 5% of the format. So yeah, maybe this is a deck that is on its way out of popularity. Or maybe all the tournament's results say that I'm wrong, but this is my thoughts at the end of this week. Regardless, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need cards, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU, let them know that I sent you. Yeah, no, that's it. It was fun slinging commons for a day, but hopefully Legacy is better soon. See ya.